my life experience, there's a lot that's going to struggle to get past me. Do you understand? It's going to be hard for him to do any, like, if I see the Nokia, I'll know. I'll know certain things, do you know what I mean? And I'll clock it very quick. There's just little things I'll clock. And if I clock my son's in any of that funny business, when he's sitting there eating his dinner, I will go and grab his plate and eat the food off his plate. And be like, bro, you're in prison now, innit? If you want to go to prison, this is what we're doing in the house. Like, we'll make the house the prison. So if you really think this is what we're doing, if this is where you want to go, then we'll treat the house like that. Let's see if you're on it then. I'll just come up to you and just be like, no, push you out the shower, I'm going in the shower. Like, what are you doing?
I think that how I identify myself, when I'm always asked this, when they say, what do you identify first as, Nigerian, black, or as a woman? And I always identify first as black, second as, oh wow, I think I changed my mind. Do you know me? Do you know me, yes or no? So I always, I think I identify as black, woman, and then Nigerian. And the reason why is because, you know, this whole culture thing, when they say culture, I don't think that a culture is defined by a country anymore, just because of, you know, you raised me here, so get over it. Now I have a dual nationality or dual identity. Now I don't just identify with one country, do you know what I mean? Regardless of whether both parents are seen to be from the same heritage. So I don't really think culture represents a country. So that's why, you know, being a female and being black is always, do you know what I mean? I think what I'm gonna instill into my children is a black culture.
What does it mean to be black British?
Like, I think it's pretty simple. Like, people are like, oh, it's a new term, I don't think it is. I've always identified as, like, you know, someone asks me where I'm from, I'll say Nigeria. Yeah. But I would never say being called black British for me was new, because, for example, I'm second generation British. Like, my mum was actually, so majority of my friends, they're like first generation British, because their mums were born back home. My mum was actually born here. Right. So it's always been like a thing, for me. In terms of being black British, is understanding that my culture is different from the culture back home in Nigeria. Yeah. I can't go home, like, if I went home to Nigeria and I said I'm Nigerian, they would call me British.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. If I go to Jamaica and they're like, oh yeah, I'm Jamaican. No, you're not.
You're British.
Yeah, definitely.
They'll say, what's it? You're buying a foreign? Or
Yeah.
That's what they say, innit? Do you know what I mean?
No, they definitely would. Yeah.
Like, I find it funny, I'm Nigerian, I even
like, I can't even speak Patois anyway, so boy.
But that's what they'll say, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so being black British here is about, like, our slang. That's black British. People back home, they don't know that. Yeah. The way we dress, the music we listen to, grime, that's also
influences from back home. As in, half of the slang we use today,
it's from Jamaica.
Exactly, 100%.
Do you know what I mean? That is part, and I think that is part of us being black British.
For me, because my tribe is Damara. And I'm gonna take I'm Namibia.
Wow.
And I'm gonna take them to Damara land. You know, like they'll go to Katatura, which is where my family lives. It's the hood, it's the ghetto in Namibia. And it's important.
Say it again.
Katatura.
Oh god, amazing.
No, but trust, it's hella important. I took my girl to Katatura. She was with my aunties. We're all there, like, you know, chilling. And for me, I can't be with a girl that's bougie. That doesn't matter where you're from. Like, if you're not willing to go camping and not willing to be outdoors, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that for me is if you're asking me about values, it's like, I think the number one is the love of Africa as a continent. And the love of nature and the love of, because I grew up so blessed to be able to be in nature all the time. Go hiking, see rhinos and elephants, and go canoeing on like the Zambezi Dam with crocodiles. Like, my life was always there with them. I never felt separated. So I think my biggest value is trying to, even if my kids grow up in this context, taking them back and being like, you lot are gonna just go and live with the auntie. I'll see you guys in a month. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's hella important for me anyway. What about you?
I can't say that I'm taking my kids to see some rhinos, but but with that being said, I feel like I'm such a special case in that, even though I'm from Nigeria and Sierra Leone, and I definitely feel it, I feel like it's going to be hard for me to pass that on to my kids, because I
only just about know my own language anyway, which isn't my language in the first place. So I'm
The
grandma
and the
or
great
king.
grandma. You get me?
Absolutely. That's amazing.
Like, obviously, we saw the family.
So we've got someone. No, you don't. Do you want this on camera?
Okay, wait, I mean, even.
I'm just saying,
as a white man with a mixed race son, obviously.
What's the races involved?
No, I'm just saying in terms of obviously teaching him obviously about his blackness in a sense. It's something where I have no experience about. Huh?
Is his mum fully black?
Not fully, she's Mauritian, but she's like light skinned Mauritian.
Okay.
And for me, it's like it's for me to then get him to understand it. Obviously, the good thing is that's where my friends are. What I lean on with that, so like his godfathers, his uncles. That's obviously my family. Obviously, they're all black men. So when he gets to that age,
Mauritian?
No, they're black Ghanaian men from London.
So that's the thing. It's a different.
It's a different
twang. You see that kind of. But it's not the same culture. Do you know what I mean? People just are, but that's just jarring. You see, in this situation, I'll just be like, it's black culture.
Yeah, that's what
because for me, like myself, I have my black, group. There's Ghanaians, there's Ugandans, there's all, and we have a familiarity. We have a sense of culture. We know what food we're getting at the parties. We know what we're cooking for each other if we're all having a cookout. We know how to dress if we're all tying gele or doing this. We remix things in our own way for our traditional weddings now. Forget that, mate. Forget the parents. They're no longer in control.
Like some of the things like happy slap. Mm-hmm. That started with black kids just going around slapping each other. That's like
we don't want to claim that. Let's
no, but it was all jokes, and it got a bit political. If you think about it sounds trivial, but those are part of things. With your black British culture, like instead of going straight home, like we used to hang around in Wood Green area, like things like that.
Grime is black British.
Black British. The way we talk, the way we speak.
Way even with like reloads, that comes from Jamaican culture, really, whatever they do.
On the radio and them things.
We've taken that, we've incorporated into our new genre, grime.
Yeah. Notting Hill Carnival, although I will 100% say it is a West Indian celebration.
That's true.
I won't take that from them, it is. But it's also when I talk about being black British here, I will also say that's part of my black British culture as well. Having something like Notting Hill Carnival, which celebrates, West Indian people and their culture. That's part of being black British.
100%.
People in Nigeria can't relate to that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, even people, let's be honest, people in Jamaica can't relate to Notting Hill Carnival. They can relate to their carnivals in the West Indies. Do you know what I mean?
It will never be like, what's something that you do at Carnival that you don't do anywhere else? Or something you might say?
I don't.
I'm trying to think like
the music we listen to there.
Yeah.
You think they just had Jova in all the other West Indian
Trinidad.
countries. Do you in Trinidad? Do you think they're listening to
Cardi Caprio?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're not.
And Sierra Leone, and I definitely feel it. I feel like it's going to be hard for me to pass that on to my kids because I only just about know my own language anyway, which isn't my language in the first place. So I'm from Sierra Leone and Nigeria. My dad's Igbo, but I only understand Yoruba because as well as their native languages, both of my parents speak Yoruba. So if I understand Yoruba, and that's pretty much all I can understand but can't really speak, because when all the aunties were like, I'm not going to reply to you or I'm not going to speak to you unless you speak back to me in Yoruba, and I'm like, cool, you're on your own then, babe. It means that I can't say Yoruba unless it's in an English accent. So first of all, I'll sound stupid, which means that I'm going to be teaching my children how to sound stupid as well in that language. So it doesn't mean though that I won't teach them what it means to be Nigerian and to be Sierra Leonean, because even with that being said, I still eat the food. I still kind of talk the same way. I will take them to my mum's house. So even if, again, do you know what I mean? Even if I can't teach them, my mum could teach them, especially when they're naughty. But I feel like, teaching them about culture. I think culture is obviously more than language anyway, like the kind of clothes that we wear, Absolutely. The way that we greet our adults, the way that we interact with each other, what is the right and not the right thing to say in an African household, because you can't come and take the piss in mine. So, future child, listen. So, absolutely, it's more than that, innit? So, and I think food is such a big part because I can't actually, my mum doesn't know the meaning of any other food than African food. I feel like she didn't know that Chinese food existed or Asian food existed until she came to this country.
Yeah, what about music?
Music-wise, oh my days, you want me to tell you a funny story? My mum sings, "Last night, G-Day saved my life."
Like, I don't know, because culturally, like, I'm not around white people.
Where are you from?
At all.
Where are you from?
I'm English and Irish, or quarter Irish. So my son's like an eighth.
Are you in connection with your Irish side?
Not at all. I've been to Ireland when I was 16.
Do you feel like you have a culture, fam? As in English culture?
No, like we don't eat pie and mash, we don't do none of that shit. I mean, like, we actually don't, like, to be honest with you, I'm not like a Cockney family, I'm not none of that. Like, my dad's from South London, you know what I mean? My dad's Clapham Park.
Normal city boy.
It's 6'7", you know what I mean? Nah, seriously, he was an undertaker in Clapham Park.
But that's really interesting. So what do you feel like you're...
My son's just going to know what it is in London, innit? At the end of the day, he's going to be growing up with Somali, Polish, everything. So it's understanding, you have to be able to, you know, he's going to have to adapt how I adapt.
Yeah,
Same way, it's like he's going to have to understand you don't have to be around people that look like you. You can still have a relation with them and still understand each other. 100%. It's about what's inside, not obviously the outside.
Fuck the... No, I'm joking.
I think I'll just make them more aware. I feel like when we were younger, we just heard a lot of police are bad.
Yeah, 100%. And that's not true.
Yeah, I think there needs to be a bit more of a bad. I'm not saying because police, I'm not going to lie, a lot of you are inherently racist. However, there are a lot of you that aren't. And there are a lot of
like police people are individuals.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have
individual
experiences. I know you might, have pressure from the people around you and but you have to take them as they are. Like, I've never had a bad experience with a police officer in my life. Like, I've never ever have. Even when I got pulled over for speeding and my tail light was out by 2 young white police officers, they said, listen, we put it down, get it changed, and just slow down.
You see, but if you have the...
But I'm not ignorant to the fact that there are bad policemen that do fuckery to people for no reason.
I feel like that's just going to be a really hard one because I was always taught to kind of fear the police. But then my dad, am I allowed to say he was a gangster growing up? Like, he was a terrible man, just causing terror on Old Kent Road. Don't put that in there. My dad would, like, he was like a bad boy, like, growing up. Do you know what I mean? So, and I grew up literally watching my dad, like, getting told into the back of, like, police vans because he'd literally done one thing or a bad boy. Do you know what I mean? Bad breed. That's why I'm a bad breed too. Do not test me. So I feel like it's a hard one. I'm not gonna lie to you because it's a thing where I don't want my kids to have to fear the police, even though there is absolute legitimate reason to. You want to teach your kids to know their rights, but I don't think my mum really ever told me, like, okay, cool, if you get stopped by the police, this, that, and the other. And I'm less likely to. I've got a little brother who is 6'3", who is 21, but he looks older than me, and he looks like he could be on badness. He's been stopped by the police many times. He has been moved to by other boys, like, what you doing here, even though he lives there. Like, it's really doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But no one's really, or my mum, like, I feel like what a lot of African parents do is just don't join band gang. I don't even care what you do, just don't join them. Like, read your book, face your front, that's it. Like, that's all they know. But it's like once you've been brought up in that, how do you, like, what do I tell my children?
I'll go first.
I can go first. That's cool. Legally, for my son, obviously understand, follow the law. First and foremost, I don't know, for real.
Do you follow the law?
It's not up to us. Again, now I do, yes. 100%. So do as I do, don't do as I did. Do you know what I mean? And for me, it's about understanding. And the good thing is with my life experience, there's a lot that's going to struggle to get past me. Do you understand? It's going to be hard for him to do any, like, if I see the knockout, I'll know. I'll know certain things. Do you know what I mean? And I'll clock it very quick. There's just little things I'll clock. And if I clock my son's in any of that funny business, when he's sitting there eating his dinner, I will go and grab his plate and eat the food off his plate and be like, bro, you're in prison now, innit? If you want to go to prison, this is what we're doing in the house. Like, we'll make the house the prison. So if you really think this is what we're doing, if this is where you want to go, then we'll treat the house like that. Let's see if you're on it then. I'll just come up to you and just be like, no, push you out the shower. I'm going in the shower. Like, what are you doing? Like, bruv, like, seriously, fix up. Otherwise, this is going to be your reality. So that's my whole thing, is to teach you that way.
I like it.
It's not.
Army dad.
I'm a very strict father anyway. So like that's I already know that already. Like, from how he behaves with his mom to how he behaves with me, is 2 polar opposites.
That's good.
So obviously my role, especially being a single father, separate from that situation, I have to make sure it's very enforced, and he can't duck me. I know when he gets older, he's gonna realize, wait, that's onto me. I'm gonna have to duck him for a bit.
That's very important as
but
a boy.
no.
And judge them and close.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of like, what I would teach is that with the relationship with the police, is it's a 2-way street.
Yeah.
We can't expect them to be more understanding, accepting, and better at their job if we're still teaching our kids that police are bad.
Yeah.
Because you get cases where you actually do need the police, but you won't contact the police because of what you've been taught.
Exactly.
So there needs to be a balance. We're not saying that we're going to teach the kids that, yeah, police are great, but we'll still let them know that, look, at the end of the day, you are black, and these are things you've got to watch out for.
Exactly.
So that, but there needs to be a balance. You can actually teach both.
Yeah,
Like, there are a lot of police officers that are
racist
mad.
or discriminatory or prejudiced.
But then you also teach, this is how you behave around them. This is what you try. If they disrespect you, you don't tolerate it from anyone, but this is how you behave. This is what you should also expect as a black woman, a black person. You should expect
this could come with it, and
but then you also explain, like you just said with your experience, you can also explain that there will be there may be good experiences with the police as well.
100%.
When they do things like they reprimand you for what you've done wrong, you were speeding, your tail light was out, and they reprimand you in the way that they should.
Yeah.
Or you teach them.
There's some man that be like, all right, your tail lights out, I'm gonna search your car. Do you have any drugs? And they use it as an excuse, but you just make sure your child's aware of what possibly could happen and how to handle the situation. Like if that does happen, don't wild out, don't cuss them off. Just be like, all right, cool.
And also teach that that police aren't just reactionary in terms of just coming to look for when you've done something wrong. You actually may need the police in some
100%.
cases. Something may happen to you and you need the police.
I've been asking, but most people are
How do you toe the line? Do you know what I mean?
My girl's just like, yo, I'm not raising my kids in the UK, period. That's how simple it is. Like,
wow. Why not though?
Because she said it's so difficult to raise your kids and avoid them from things. There's so much you can do in the house, but there's also people are at the end of the day, your kids are raised to a certain age in your house, and then they're raised by the world after that.
Absolutely.
And that kind of goes out of your control. Absolutely. Especially if you're a boy, because then you've got what with the toxic masculinity and the world that we're subjected to. So I feel like in the UK. Look, I grew up in Africa. Like, I've been in my madnesses, but when I came to the UK, I went to a military boarding school and experienced racism. But kids in the UK, like the stories I've heard in the UK of people like talking about being stabbed multiple times. Yeah. Like, this is not things I've ever heard before I came to this country. Like, this country, in comparison to anywhere else in the world, is particularly bad. To raise kids in some context, obviously push and pull where you're raising them, what communities is happening.
I feel like I'm not gonna lie. Every single zeitgeist you've probably been in, but this is coming from someone that's like studied it. Yeah. Everyone said at that time, "Oh my God, this is the worst time we've ever lived in ever." So I can't say that this is the worst time.
I'm just saying England is like throughout
as a whole.
history.
Yeah. I hear that.
I'm not saying like, oh, now drill, it's chaos here. Yeah. Everyone needs to run out. Like, that's not it at all. I'm just saying like. When I came here, like no one I knew was having sex until 18 and thing. I came here to take care of my cousin. Right. And I was hosting a 14-year-old birthday party. Man then brought in bags of weed. Girls who were 13 were complaining that they accidentally gave these guys the wrong blowjobs. And I was sitting there as an 18-year-old being like, yo, what is going on in this country? Like,
the law is really a rich man's game. That's what I'm going to teach my child.
Yeah, but then if they break it, they end up in the system.
No, I'm not done. I'm not done. I'm going to teach my child that the law is heavily dependent on a lot of different factors. First of all, I believe that I will be representing and my child will grow up in a middle-class household, which will automatically put them in so much more of a better position when it comes to legal matters, representation, cultural capital and education. So my child will be prepared and I will be prepared for any sort of legal matter that's going to come their way, especially because obviously my children will be black. So an example of that is my dad is absolutely ready for every single court case, every single legal action. He knows every single act, civil rights act, work act. He won my mum's case single-handedly by himself when she was what was it called? So dismissed unfairly. Wrongfully dismissed. He won that without a lawyer. They said, don't fight it. He said, go home.
It's not always.
Calling the police is not snitching. Do you know what snitching is? When you and someone do something, you get caught, and then you start saying names. Yeah.
The thing is, with snitching, and like the rules of the road and all that, if you live by them rules, then maybe you have to abide by them because that's the life you've chosen.
100%.
But if you're not a road man,
if you are a civilian,
yeah,
and you see someone doing crime, it's not snitching.
It's
you
not
are
snitching.
you are
You pay council tax.
You know what I'm saying? You pay taxes.
You know what I mean? You pay the same
like I was
taxes.
like, call them. Hello, yeah, I see someone. He's da 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 da. That's not snitching.
That's not
That's
snitching.
crime prevention.
That's crime.
And you're
Like, I
helping
remember
your community.
actually remember having a conversation with one of the people from this platform,
Mm-hmm.
and they were saying if they found someone with a knife,
Mm-hmm.
they would simply take it off of them. And I was like, are you
You're
alright?
braver than me. Because I'm black, I have dreadlocks, and I'm 6 foot.
And-
If a policeman, oh yeah, sorry mate, and they catch me with that, I can't, listen mate, what happened was there's a guy over there, I took it off him, I was going to donate it to the bin.
I'm not getting involved.
Yeah.
And if someone asked me, did so-and-so stab so-and-so? Yes, that person, me personally, if I see two black people stabbing each other, or if I see a black person stabbing a white person, and police ask me who did it, him.
Another thing as well, like we're talking about like the whole violent criminal aspect, but we also have to talk about consent as well, because I think something our parents didn't my mum or my parents didn't really like hone in on is the idea of consent is just don't be raped and my son don't get anyone pregnant. It's no, I'm being so serious.
Yeah,
it's
so true though. That's what I'm
It'll be
laughing.
like,
Crazy
and
that
until
that's
this day, it'll be like,
advice.
why are you wearing that short skirt? Like, men are going to be after you. I'm like, okay, babe, but if they're after me, is that my business? Is it their job not to rape and my job just to have a good time and be lit? Absolutely, hun. And then to my brother now, his own would just be like, oh, just don't bring anyone home pregnant. Don't get anyone pregnant or else you and her will go get a house. But how about the stages before that? How about getting her pregnant? Like, you don't know your son can rape? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely very possible. So it's like, that's another thing. I think one of the things that I'm going to be so big on if I have any sons is the idea of consent and like, it's a must. Like,
Yeah, do you know what? When it comes to relationships, yeah, I think that, I mean, you know, we've mentioned a lot of things. I'm sure a lot of people bring up things in regards to, let's say, consent or in regards to, insecurities, being confident about yourself, and things like that. But I think, do you know what? If I was to sum it up, I would probably just try and teach my child how to understand a human being more. So I think that in my culture, in our generation, I think that we've become more self-centered. We've become more conscious of how we feel, but maybe we're not as analytical of how the other person feels. So that could be in regards to consent, analytical in regards to is a girl comfortable, analytical in regards to if I'm putting this on social media, are younger girls gonna now become insecure and feel like, you know, they need to have surgery or that they're not as pretty or they're not as beautiful. I just think that we're not as conscious of that.
Women are trash. Don't trust. No, I'm joking.
Because I was about to punch your face.
They're violent.
When we need to be, I'm joking. I think I would teach that, again, my mum was quite good with this. She was a single parent, but she had sense. But speaking in regards to like some of the other conversations I've heard you don't actually always have to endure. Divorce is there as an option. Breaking up is there as an option.
I never ever want to get divorced in my life.
Of course, no. So let me explain what I mean. When I say a divorce is there as an option, if your husband, if you are not happy with your relationship, you owe it to yourself
to leave,
to be happy, and to be happy because you have to understand. Yeah, us as kids, they do see these things, and then not only that, you can also, you never know, you might actually take out your frustration on kids. You've got things like, corporal punishment. When you smack kids, you may start lashing out at your kids, like snapping at them because you're frustrated in yourself. Same way, if you're not happy at work, you owe it to yourself to find a job that makes you happy.
100%.
So why can't you have that with your relationship?
on my days, relationships, me that I don't even know what a relationship means at the moment. Like, what the hell am I gonna say? Facts. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I'm gonna let them run to me when they have issues, like, oh mum, this boy is upsetting me, done him, like, blast him on Twitter, because I definitely will for you. Or do you know what I mean? Like, all them things, I'll let them run to me with their issues, but I feel like I'll just let them navigate that whole relationship world themselves, because, you don't think?
For me, in terms of women, for my son, from school, from the first year 1 or reception or whichever, every girl's getting a Valentine's Day card. We're just gonna make sure we uplift them and we make sure
that's nice.
you're respectful to every single one of them.
That's
if there's an
cute.
ugly girl in primary school, you still gotta be respectful. You know, don't join in.
If there's an ugly girl, how are you gonna
in the primary
say
school?
that?
No, like just you can't join. You got. No, I'm just saying no. Because obviously back in the day, you would cuss like girls like sometimes like if you liked her, whichever, and then it turns out they grow on to be like really nice and it's like,
my
oh
God,
shit.
no, that's a good
Like,
point.
I remember one girl
bullied.
said I used to call her.
I used
like,
to get bullied, Kieran.
Yeah, one girl told me that I used to call her that she had dragon eyebrows.
Oh,
I don't even know what that means. I don't
I'm
even know what a dragon eyebrow is, bro.
tired.
I didn't even know dragons had eyebrows.
No, that's a
But
good point.
so obviously it's about being respectful. In terms of relationships, for my son, the biggest advice I could give him on that is don't try and love someone until you fully love yourself, and that's the main step on that. After women and relationship, what was the other one? Sex. Yeah. Boy, don't have it. Just keep your thing in your pants and keep that testosterone in your
I'm quite
system.
liberal about that these days, and I'm gonna stay strict as a nut, mate. I tell you.
No, like, I'm liberal with myself, but
not
like
in my house.
I'm mad conservative to myself.
Like I'm so concerned. There's no way, not in my watch, mate. No. You could do it behind your back, like.
No, you can't.
You can do it behind my back if you want, but it's never gonna be in my face.
No,
have some decorum.
No, it won't be in your face until the baby comes back. Until the baby comes back, that's when it's in your face. And now your grandma.
No, you definitely
Do you know what I mean? Or if you're in a relationship where the man constantly cheats, or you've grown out of love with them, or he beats you. I think I'm speaking from like as an African woman, we're taught to just enjoy as a woman. You are taught you have to accept what the man gives to you. This may be different for you as a man and as a West Indian man, but for me as an African woman, this is what we're taught. You have to endure. You have to accept this is your husband. This is the head of your household. So I think something that I would teach, and this is passed down from my mother because she was actually very sensible, is that you don't always have to endure. Yeah. You know, you don't. Divorce is there as much as we also. No one really wants to divorce. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? No one gets into a marriage saying, oh, you know, I'm going to divorce. But if you need to get out, always use divorce as an option. Don't say, oh, I'm never going to get divorced. To me, that's incredibly stupid.
Protect yourself.
No, in terms of protect yourself, in terms of don't be out there and putting yourself in situations where it could be deemed as off. Like if I see my son and I see him move like how I've seen certain men move, he'll be checked instantly because it's that creep life. It can't be like if the girl's drunk, you get her a lift home and you do not go into her house. You do not do none of that. You just leave it there. Don't have room for anything to come back. You're a man, so it's very easy, especially by the time he's 18. God forbid what's going to be happening here.
Nice.
So we just need to make sure that he protects himself and make sure he treats everyone around him with respect and love and keep it as very simple as that.
Credit is incredibly important.
Oh my God.
Credit is
so
credit
important.
is incredibly important. And I wasn't taught that until I didn't really know about credit and credit score and all of that until I was 22.
Right.
That's bad. That's really bad. And
really
the
bad.
only reason why I knew that is because I started working in the court. Like, so I got a proper job after graduating and so on. And then I had to figure out the fact. So I had a credit card and I had an overdraft. And then I was eventually told by a friend, not even my mother, I was told by a friend that, oh, you need to come out of your overdraft. You need to make sure that you're not always in your credit on your credit card. Make sure you're paying that back on time. Make sure you're paying your phone bill and this and that on time. And then when I was living by myself in uni, I was paying the utility bills. And I didn't know that when I missed payments, that was going against me on my credit score. Do you know what I mean? Things like when bailiff are coming to your house. And another thing is, like, you know, with your parents, you see, I don't come from a well-off family, so I did see bailiff come to the house when I was younger. And you're not taught about how much of an impact that has on your mum's credit. You're just taught, oh my God, she's broke. That's why
they've come taking something to pay.
Yeah, but you don't realise that the fact that it's gotten to bailiff means that it's gotten to an extent where you've defaulted on your account.
But I mean, it even comes back to me, like even with the financial thing going on to that, it's a thing where, with my son, the thing that I'm going to put in place with him, there's going to be an allowance I give you. So it might be £20. I give you £20 on the Friday. Next Friday, I want to still see that you got £5 left. And I want to know as soon as you took that £20 home, you gave your mum another £5. So you get used to giving your mum 25% of everything you get. And then you still retain another 25% for yourself. And you can spend 50%. And if next Friday I find out you haven't given your mum the 25% and you haven't still got your 25%,
are you going to tell him before? Are you going to tell him?
Yeah. I will tell him, boom, here's £20. I want to see you next week with £5.
Don't just give
Go
him
give your mum
smoke,
£5. Now you got £10 to spend. If next week I see you and you have only got, you have only got £2 left, brother, you ain't getting your £20 this week. Do you know what I mean?
So
It's about
basically,
learning-
you're giving it. Okay, I'll give him more than that though, because then he'll be left with £10, bro.
Yeah, he'd be left with £10. So that's
No,
why you
but
got
I
£10 a
mean,
week.
£10
What, at
to
6 years
spend
old,
for
what
the
do you
week.
need to do, bro?
I'm tired. He said 6 years old.
Bro,
What are
what
you
do you
giving a
need to do?
6-year-old money for?
Because, bruv, I remember like, I used to be jealous of the kids in school that used to roll around with £20 in their pocket at 12 years old. I'd be like, bruv,
Aw.
how are you
What
paying
did
that?
my dad used to do with me?
I used to get £1.20 a day.
I didn't used to get. I used to
£1.20.
get money, right? My dad used to give me money.
Never had a note in my blazer.
But I always used to have like. I never really lacked financially like that as a child. I always grew up having like just asking for. I just asked my dad for money.
But my dad, I have to, because again, all we can say about how we're gonna parent is probably from how we were parented and experienced. My dad is the biggest OG. He taught me how to use Microsoft Excel when I was 11. And I've been keeping spreadsheets of all my income and all my finances since that age, which meant when I was in uni, I was getting my student loan, knew exactly how to balance it, and I was doing all my other things to bring in money. So by the time I finished uni, I had enough money to start a business and travel. But simply because of something he taught me right at the beginning, you know. And it's funny because I grew up in the same house with my little sister, and like she does not know nothing. Like my sister cannot hold on to money for a second.
She
so
sounds like me.
You know, I don't understand what's happened, but I guess for me, if it was anything, it's my dad always showed my dad. I think it's because we wanted different things. When I was growing up as a kid, my sister just wanted clothes, jewelry, things that weren't too expensive, and they could kind of buy it regularly.
She sounds like she's got sauce.
You know what I'm saying? But for me, I never wanted clothes. I hated all of that stuff. I wanted like the biggest gaming computer that had this graphics card and this processor and like all of these technical things that cost like big money. So my parents used to sit down and they used to make me spend about 3 weeks researching everything I wanted. And I bring 3 of the top ones I found, right? 3 of the top ones, but within a budget. And I sit in front of my parents and then I present them what I wanted. And then they'd ask me why I want this, how quick, how much time, how would I make money from this, and how soon would I pay them back for it, as if it was like Dragon's Den.
That default is now on your credit score.
Yeah,
things like
now
that.
you can't take out phones, you can't get a car, you can't. It's a lot of
Do you know
things.
what I mean? Yeah,
Can't
and
get
then
cards out.
things like understanding tax, how much you pay, how much you need to pay council tax, what's getting taxed, what your tax allowance is, what tax brackets as well. So when things like tax brackets are incredibly important because you need to understand that in order to understand how much you're going to ask for when you go to interviews.
Yeah.
Do you want to stay? But like for a long time, I made sure to when I was going to interviews and then they'll ask me how much I wanted, I made sure to ask for £1,000 just under the 40% tax bracket, just to make sure I could still afford what I needed to. But then
And he pretty much gave it to me, so I was quite lucky in that. But I don't think I asked for that much.
No, but they're quick, you know. He's only 2 now and he already asked me for money. Already.
Okay,
like, he literally comes up to me and is like, yo, daddy,
that's
money.
Different. That's different.
Like, money, daddy.
That's different.
Money. I'm like, bro, I don't know what
Obviously, you showed him money, innit? How do you know about money?
Because he's in the shop, innit? Because obviously, when you're in the shop, you give him the money to give to the lady, innit? And it's like, yo, there you go. There's the contactless card. You tap it, innit? Like, pattern him up. But
I think with money, I think definitely I'll teach my child how to save. So I'll teach my child how to, even if it's £1 that they put in the piggy bank, like every day or every week, I'm going to teach them that, as you gradually put into something and you don't touch it, it will then build and accumulate into something that you can then use for something. So I think definitely set like financial goals, little goals.
Money as well. Don't just give them the pocket money for nothing. I don't just give you the pocket money because you're my son. If I got money, I've got money. You don't have no money.
I want my child to have money.
No, you have money, but understand it. You have to put respect on the money.
Of course,
You
but
got to respect the money. So therefore, it's like, right, okay, you can get your pocket. Here's your pocket money of £20 as long as you've done all your work and whatever.
Listen,
there's your £20. If you want to make an extra £10, go wash the car.
Yeah, okay, cool. But my child, my child will have money, but the thing is not just making them work for I don't want them to. They don't necessarily have to work for the money that I'm giving them all the time. You need to have money. Like as a child, I had money to do whatever it is that I needed to do. I don't feel like
from
my
where I
child...
come from, you don't have money unless you have put in some work.
No, but what I'm saying is you can teach
he
the
can
child...
have assets, he can have his
You're not
heating
understanding
on,
what I'm saying.
food in the fridge.
When you let me land, I'll let you know. So an example is someone like David Beckham's son has money, but he still made him go get a job, right? But David Beckham's son has everything he needs. Do you know what I mean? You can teach hard work and you can teach, no, you're actually from a good home. Like you can come and ask me if you want to go somewhere, I'm going to give it to you because you're my child.